They are athletes from a different time, before success was measured in sponsorship dollars and prize money, when dignity and sportsmanship were on a par with victory. The bespectacled runner at the front of this trio is a young journalist. Behind him, a lanky medical student. And lying third, a budding politician. All elite athletes, but strictly amateur. And if today's professionals might scoff at the cooperation and friendship between these foes, they know that no race, no barrier has ever captured the imagination quite like the day Sir Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. The Olympic Games has always used metric measurements, but the Imperial Mile had a certain romance. Finland's gold medal hero from 1924, Paavo Nurmi, the first of numerous runners down the years to hold the world record for both distances at the same time. When Nurmi sliced more than 2 seconds off the record, a sub-4-minute mark became a possibility. And by the time the world emerged from war, 2 Swedes had progressively lowered the record to within 1.5 seconds of the barrier. As the summer season approached in 1954, 3 young men had posted times close to Gunter Haag's world record of 4 minutes 1.4 seconds, and the bid to be the first under 4 minutes became its own race. In the USA, Wes Santee had turned from an average 5,000 meters runner to a dashing 1,500 meter or miler and was setting himself for the US National Mile Championship. In Australia, John Landy had proved unbeatable in the Southern Hemisphere summer and had been invited to compete over the mile in Finland in June, when it was widely tipped a strong international field would lift him to a sub-4 run.
Landy, an Australian, methodically trained for the historic prize, forgetting everything but the race. In Melbourne early in 1954, he zoomed down the final straightaway and breasted the tape at 4:03 flat.
The third champion miler was Englishman Roger Bannister, who knew Landy was primed to crack the barrier, and with a little help from his friends, planned his own assault on a cold day at Iffley Road Track, Oxford, May 6, a month before Landy's race. While 6 runners took off at the special meet between British AAA and Oxford University on May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister and his 2 pacemakers quickly broke away from the rest. Breaking the wind in front was Chris Brasher, who would one day achieve what Roger Bannister never did: win Olympic gold, taking the 3,000 meters steeplechase at Melbourne 1956. Brasher would also become a distinguished journalist and broadcaster, and in 1981 co-founded the London Marathon. But for all his achievements, none earned him more fame than his part as a pacemaker, pounding out the first half mile in 1 minute 58 seconds. Waiting behind Bannister was Chris Chataway. Like Brasher, Chataway was better over longer distances. He recovered from a fall to finish 5th in the 5,000 meters at the Helsinki Olympics in 1952. And later, in 1954, he would win the Commonwealth Games 3-mile gold medal. Chataway would retire to pursue a career in politics, serving as a minister in the Conservative Heath government. On this day, he used his stamina to take the lead from Brasher and carted Bannister around the 3rd lap, before the star of the show took over with just under 300 meters to go. Bannister had begun his day in medical training at a London hospital before taking a train to Oxford. With gusty winds through the afternoon, he was close to pulling out of the record attempt, but the wind dropped just in time. As he did throughout his life as a neurologist, he gave it everything.
He'd obviously used up his last ounce of energy, but what an achievement for Bannister and Britain.
Bannister was right to have been fearful of Landy beating him to the record, because 46 days later in Finland, the Australian broke the Englishman's world record clocking 3.58. Landy and Bannister would go head-to-head in August 1954 at the Commonwealth Games in a race dubbed the Miracle Mile. Bannister won, but the gentleman Landy concealed the fact that the night before the race, he had stepped barefoot on a photographer's flashbulb and ran with stitches in his foot. Famously, the Australian also stopped in his 1956 National Championship to help fallen runner Ron Clark before resuming the race and winning. Landy later served as Governor of Victoria. Every one of the central figures in the remarkable story of the race to 4 minutes became high achievers later in life. Brayshaw with his words, Chataway in politics, Landy in public service, and Sir Roger Bannister, eminent neurologist and academic, and the man who proved impossible is nothing by breaking the 4-minute mile barrier.
Thanks for watching. For more great content on all the major stories in world sport, make sure you hit the subscribe button.